All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Persian and the Cowboy podcast. He's the Persian, I'm the Cowboy. And today we're going to be taking a look at the decline of California over the last couple decades and what we're doing in this great state of ours and how sad it is that we are putting it to, through hell.
Let's restart that real quick because I was just like looking around like this. I didn't know. I thought you were practicing. I'm sorry. I fucked up. And your timer didn't even go off.
Oh, no, the timer. America runs on Duncan, baby.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
that's right.
Now I'm going to go back and edit it, and I need to remember that there's a different start point.
Hey.
Let's get some high fives so that'll be
All right, let's do this.
easier to sync up.
Let's fucking go, baby. Hit that fucking timer, dude.
Let me chew my eyes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Persian and the Cowboy podcast. He's the Persian, I'm the Cowboy. And today we're going to be taking a look at how California has declined over the last couple of years and the exodus that is currently happening and what the hell is going on there. And so, Mr. Persian, I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts on this, so why don't you go ahead and kick it off for us?
You know, California, if you talk about majestically, it is a beautiful state in terms of the, Mother Nature. I mean, you have the Sierra Nevadas, Lake Tahoe area. You have beautiful beaches, coastlines. If you like the desert, you have the desert climate, Mediterranean climate. You have different situations here in California in terms of the nature side. But this once great state is not a great state anymore. California has become the laughingstock of the United States. It is politically ran incorrect. It has been run into the toilet by the Democrat Party, by the liberal left. And people are escaping California by the tens of thousands because of what's happening. I mean, just look at the state since the Democrats have taken over. They have literally trashed California. You have massive crime throughout various parts of the state. You have crime surging, gang activity up, theft, robberies, violent crimes. Homelessness, one of the main topics in California, homelessness, the number one topic. They have spent billions and billions of dollars to tackle this problem at the state level. But the problem is getting fucking worse. You have in Los Angeles, near downtown LA, you have a place called Skid Row that has always been a homeless haven since the 1930s. But as of late, it has literally become a homeless apocalypse. You have close to 15,000 homeless people in that region with thousands in Skid Row. And we're not talking about people who are, rough on their life or whatever. We're talking about folks who are mentally ill, who need to be hospitalized, who need treatment, who need medication, who need therapy, who are drug addicts, who have completely lost their mind and has made the situation dangerous. You have tons of these encampments in Los Angeles, in Oakland, in San Francisco, in San Jose, in parts of San Diego, in the central part of California, in Sacramento and Fresno. It has become, Cowboy, a very unfixable situation.
Well, yeah, and it's one thing where other states are coming over and sending their homeless people to California because they know we're going to foot the bill for it and allow them to do whatever the hell they want in this state, too. The really sad thing is just the drug use that goes on with it. And, if someone's addicted to drugs, they're just going to do whatever they can to do it. And I've heard that these encampments kind of crop up around where the drug dealers just set up shop,
Yeah.
You don't want to walk too far to get your fix, so you might as well just go right there and then boom, you got your fix ready to go.
Well, the problem with the situation is that our great law enforcement in California, they don't have the resources to tackle this problem. And they already have so many things they have to deal with, and they're outnumbered and they're outgunned on this issue. Mm-hmm. I think on a state level, the governor, Gavin Newsom, who's one of the worst governors, again, I want to repeat that, one of the worst governors in the history of the United States and in the history of California. Okay, this guy it doesn't get any better with Gavin Newsom. He's extremely left, very liberal, and he has turned the state into a trash bin. It's 100% not his fault. It's from previous administrations too, but he has been one of the problems to this massive situation, okay? But we need to get this on a federal level, and we need to get the National Guard involved with this to tackle this situation and to assist our local law enforcement agencies. They recently in San Francisco are now calling in the National Guard to assist with the homeless situation and with the drug problem in San Francisco. That's how bad it's getting that even the liberal left are crying and are needing help now.
Jeez, holy crap. And I think it's important, though, that we do discuss that. Like, I feel for anyone that has come on hard times and has lost their home out of, no fault of their own. Like, living in California is an extremely expensive thing, and it's always hard to get by with that. So definitely feel for those people that go through that situation and become homeless through there. But the people that are just out there on the streets and living the life of freedom that they want to live, there's resources available, and I encourage anyone that's in there to go out and use those resources. And this is why I want us to do a specific episode on homelessness. I want to go out there into the community and talk to these people and see, hey, what is your story? What's actually going on? Are you just here for the party, or did you fall in hard times? Or, let's hear your story so we can get that out there. And what do you think the solution is themselves? Ask them what they need. Ask them what their ideas are. Do they want to be helped? Do they want do they not know where resources are, and where are they from? What's their background?
Cowboy, before you get into your segment real quick, I just want to add a couple things about this whole situation. I mean, when we talk about the homeless situation in California, I mean, that's a whole nother topic on its own. But you have tens of thousands of people in California who are homeless, okay, throughout the state. And many of them are from out of state, and some are local. But because of our relaxed policies, many homeless people have come from other states and have been dumped here and have now calling California refuge, okay? The homeless situation in California is like this. You have people who are highly addicted to drugs and other illicit substances. Okay, so you have a drug addiction problem, number one. Number two, you have folks who are mentally ill. You have folks who have depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, mood disorders, etc., whatever, who are also struggling with that, and they don't have the resources to assist them, okay? The other thing is you have folks who simply cannot afford to live here because their income is not enough to cover the quality of life or the cost of living, and have fallen on hard times and are now living in RVs or in shantytown encampments. And the other thing is you do have a small percentage of these homeless people who literally do not want to do anything. They do not want to work. They do not want to do anything. They want to have their own laws, their own society, and they don't want to follow the rule of law. And they are homeless. I mean, just down this couple blocks away here on a prominent highway, there is a huge encampment of homeless people. And one time when I was driving down here at nighttime, they were roasting marshmallows. I don't think they're looking for work. I think they're just trying to hang out and just relax and do whatever and live in their own society. But we as a state government and on a federal level have to get involved with this situation because it is starting to spread in the suburbs. You're seeing big cities now, smaller cities having this issue, small towns. You have playgrounds that have needles in them. You have homeless people found in schools who are literally just laying down in a playground, passed out, drunk, or high. You have homeless people roaming into people's neighborhoods, breaking into people's homes. You've had instances where homeless people have killed innocent people in their homes in the middle of the night. This is becoming a problem where if the state and federal government don't handle it in the proper way, then you're going to have ordinary citizens, vigilantes, handle it on their own.
Yeah, I think you did a good job of breaking down the different demographics of people that unfortunately become homeless. I just want to know what the percentage breakdown is. Are most of them drug addicts? Are most of them just on hard times? Are most of them mentally ill? And a combination. I want to know the statistics of how they got there, who they are, and what's going to happen. One thing that has upset me, though, about it is why have we stopped enforcing the laws that are already on the books?
Yeah, because that's a great question. There used to be tougher laws on homelessness. First of all, homelessness should be
I'm not even saying homelessness. Like, okay, if there's a guy sleeping on a park bench, whatever. I don't care about that.
Right.
But public defecation has been illegal for
because
all of society.
Because the Liberal Party in California, the Democrat Party, is no longer enforcing any laws. It's not just in relation to homeless people, but we'll get into the crime too in a second. But there's defecation everywhere. There's urination everywhere. Open drug use, they don't enforce the laws because they don't want to enforce the law anymore. They've lost control of the situation. It's become an apocalyptic situation and they can't handle it anymore. They don't know what to do. My question to you is all the taxes that you and I pay and millions of Californians, hardworking middle-class Californians are paying, where the fuck are all these tens of billions of dollars going? And the Newsom administration in the last 4 years, they have spent a ton of money, and the previous administration has spent a ton of money on homelessness, on housing solutions, small, tiny homes, mental health resources, drug addiction rehab programs. But the homeless situation is getting 10 times worse. Well, where is all this money going? Who's pocketing? On the Joe Rogan podcast, before you get in, on the Joe Rogan podcast several weeks ago.
The second greatest podcast in
the second greatest
there,
podcast.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get to his level one day.
Yeah.
But Joe Rogan had said that apparently he has a connection that is involved with the, California state government, okay?
Yeah.
And that connection has leaked information that the politicians in California and the people that are running the homelessness prevention programs and are in charge of allocating the tax money for this are actually pocketing the money. And they're not putting the money in where it should be.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some stuff out there. Could be hearsay that some government employees that are in charge of homelessness are taking home like $250,000 a year or something crazy. It's an astounding amount of money to not solve any problems for it. And so, I don't know. I go back to the crime though, and I just think it would be so easy just to enforce the laws that are already on the books. And they say this all the time about drug addicts, is if there's someone enabling the drug addict, they're never going to change their behavior.
No.
Why are they out on the streets right now? And I'm talking specifically the drug addicts. They're out on the streets because they were kicked out of their homes already. Because they're people that they
have a problem.
That were like, I can't handle you anymore. I got to stop enabling you in the house. You got to get the hell out of here. You're on your own. You go figure it out, right? And then they get a free bus ride over to California, where California just enables all of their stuff.
If you want a heroin needle, come over to 7th Street. We'll give you a fresh one, sweetheart, and then we'll take away your other one. And if you have an abscess boiling on your forearm because of the needle that you put in, we'll clean it up for you. It's okay. People like me and the Cowboy are paying your tax.
Yeah, and so, I've seen some encampments that have toilets that have been set up and stuff like that. The porta potties are all over the place, too. And it's just like, why are we spending this money to help them out? Like, the state has become the enabler of
Well, it's a welfare state. California is a welfare state. They're on socialist policies, and they're enabling the crime. They're enabling the drug use. They're enabling homelessness. And let me tell you this. There is a solution. To all of this. To every solution, there's a fucking problem. As cliche and as corny as it sounds, this is the truth. We need a leader to come in that is going to, again, I love saying this. What am I going to say? What am I going to say? Say it, Cowboy.
Shoot him in the back.
No, not shoot him in the back, but to rule this problem with an iron fist, like a Napoleon or like a Joseph Stalin type situation. But no, seriously, we need toughness in the office of the governor. Number one, there should be an executive order signed that is going to make homelessness a crime. You cannot be in the street and just chill. However, this is what needs to happen. You have so many situations with this. Number one, with the mental health situation, a lot of these people, if they had the correct mental health evaluations, they had the correct medications, they had the correct therapy and the correct addiction programs, many of them would be better.
Well, so that's another problem though, because you can't, from my experience with therapy and going through all of that, and the people I've talked to out in life, you can't save someone. They have to take that step forward themselves. You can present them with the opportunity and all the resources that they need to get the help that they need.
Yeah.
But it's up to them to take that final step. And they're not going to take that final step until the current state that they're in is more uncomfortable than the pain it's going to take to get better. Rehab is a terrible thing. Going through therapy is a very distressful thing. Sometimes it's easier to just live in your own little
Right.
fantasy world that you've created than it is to actually face the facts and say, oh man, I am not the person I need to be. I need help. I need to
Right.
go get it. And go ahead.
No, and I agree with you there. But at a certain point, enough is enough.
Yeah,
We
so
are
what
paying.
are you saying
so
force
many
them
ta-
though, or like
I'm gonna say it. We need to utilize the National Guard of California and to shut all the encampments down in California and allocate plots of land throughout the state where they're empty, away from people, away from children, away from whatever. The folks that are very mentally ill, who are disturbed, and who need to be put, they need hospitalization. They need to be hospitalized for treatment. And it needs to be done by force against their will because they don't know what they're doing. They have lost all reality.
yeah.
And maybe through that and treatment, they can get better. However,
But are you going to hold them in these places
They have to
by
be-
force? Or
they
these
have to be-
internment camps that we're creating now?
I'm not
Or
creating
like-
internment camps. I'm creating a situation where they're going to be hospitalized for their own good because there are people literally in this city who are wandering in the middle of the freeways, completely zonked out of their mind. They have no idea where they are. They need to be put against their will into a hospital where they're hospitalized and they're going to be treated and to get better if they can get better.
Yeah, but then
Number
what's
one.
stopping them from getting? Well, as soon as they get out, then they're just going to go right back to, the drugs. They don't want to get better. They're enjoying.
It's
the
a
party
50-50
that's ready.
gamble. But at this point, I'd rather have them hospitalized in the middle of the street, causing issues and being harmful to others. The other thing is this. For the folks who are looking for work, there are plenty of jobs to do. There are plenty of things to do. We need to allocate a massive plot of land where you build up tiny homes for these people and you put them to work. This is not free. The government's not going to pay for your shit. You have to work in exchange. And you can't leave. You're going to work there till you get better, whatever. And at a certain point, a year or two later, if you are in better shape, then you will go back into society.
Yeah.
And let's see what happens. But you can't just sit down. Like the state of California is like, we're going to pay for everybody's housing. What? If you're going to pay for housing, you might as well have these people work. Put them in they don't need a house like this. They need to go in a little tiny home, 400, 500 square feet, and a big plot of land somewhere in Central California where it's guarded by the National Guard, where they have a hospital, they have food, they have everything. I'm not talking about one meal a day type thing. I'm talking about like they're going to have the care they need. And obviously it's going to come from tax money, but at least they're going to be working. Assembly, agriculture, retraining them on manufacturing, whatever the fuck. There's a lot of solutions, but they don't want to do it. And then,
To me, it kind of sounds like a gulag.
hey man, maybe you do need something like a labor camp for these people because honestly, I said it. Fine, I said it. It's a labor camp where you're going to get these people back in shape and then you're going to release them back into society when they're ready, when they're treated and they're got the confidence back and they have this disease out of their system. But the problem is with mental illness and disease is never out of your system. It's never out of your system. But we have to help these people with the correct resources, and we have to do it forcibly. We cannot just have these guys chill in the middle of the street and be like, oh, it's a societal issue. We can't touch it.
Yeah.
Give me a fucking break, dude. We pay so much tax money here. Do you know in certain foreign countries, homelessness is illegal? They deal with it in their own manner, if you know what I mean.
Well, yeah, and I think
I understand this is America, there are laws, but I'm sorry. The average Californian is tired of seeing somebody take a shit in the middle of their street. The average Californian is tired of seeing a fucking needle in the middle of their child's local playground. They're tired of seeing these people beg for food when they're trying to eat outside. I want to help these people, but they have to be helped by force. They have to be forced to work. They need to be treated. They are mentally ill. They are not well, but there are resources to help this. But these billions of dollars, where have they gone? Where have they gone? How come no one is calling this out? Who's pocketing the money? The tech cartels? The politicians? Like, if you spend tens of billions of dollars on homelessness, then the problem should be half of what it is today.
Well, yeah, if if you're giving free handouts for being homeless, then you're kind of incentivizing homelessness.
That's what this whole thing is. The the Democrat Party in California is incentivizing homelessness through free needle programs, whatever the fuck. Drop off your dirty needle, come get the clean one, and literally you don't have to work. Just sit on the street. We'll take care of you. Maybe we'll buy you a tiny home, or we'll pay for your rent. No, these people have to fucking work. Mm-hmm. A lunch isn't free. There's no free lunch. You got to work, but we'll help you get back on your feet, but you have to work, and we're going to be removed by force. Well, the National Guard should remove these people off the streets.
See, I think that's too extreme of a step. And I think the framework to solve the problem is already in place. It is we have to ask the question, what laws have we changed in the last decade that has allowed this to blow up? Because people are the same. They still, in the 90s, people still liked drugs. They still liked to go out and live out in nature and, be free. So what laws have changed since then that are now in place, that are no longer in place or have become freer, right? So the public camping, that needs to go back to the laws that it had before. And then they also need to enforce the laws that are already on the book. Littering. Why are we just letting people litter?
Just look at our freeways in California, folks. I mean, you can't tell me you can't hire some homeless people to fucking just clean up the street. We'll give you a tiny home, but you have to clean up the freeways 4 times a week. Yeah. 5 times a week. I mean, come on.
But I'm not talking the freeways. I'm talking
everything.
The city streets, the shanty towns, as you like to refer to them as. It's just filled with crap that's just been dumped on public land. That's against the law to just drop shit all over the place, so why are we allowing that? Why are we allowing the public defecation? Why are we allowing the public nudity that goes along with public defecation? There's any number of reasons that we can arrest people who have broken laws. If you break laws, there are consequences for breaking the laws. That has been in the framework since the Constitution and the founding of this country. Why are we now not enforcing the laws that are on the books and giving these guys a free pass? Because if we start enforcing it, then we're making their life more uncomfortable. They have to be more careful about what they do. Then maybe they actually go get the help that they need. And the other thing that I'll say is, like, one of my police officer buddies that I've talked to, he worked the county that he was working for told them not to enforce certain laws.
Yeah, that's very bad.
They know they can't change the laws because that would look bad on them as a politician in the county, but they're telling the police officers to not enforce the laws from the state assembly or from the county, whatever
the fuck it is.
The county government is telling them which ones to enforce and which ones not to enforce, which is super sketchy to me because I think a law is a law. And if it's on the books, then it should be enforced.
Well, they're not enforcing it.
Yeah, of course, across the board. And then if there's a bad law that's on the books and we're tired of the police arresting us for something that's stupid, then we put pressure on our elected officials, and then they change the laws. That's how it's supposed to work. But this whole little sleight of hand that they're doing with allowing police or telling police officers to enforce certain laws but not enforce other laws is going behind the back of the American people and not giving us the opportunity to have our voices heard. Because they're like, oh yeah, it's illegal. I don't know why the police officers haven't been enforcing it because you're telling them not to enforce it. What the hell is going on?
Cowboy, you've hit a lot of great points. Let me say a couple things. Number one, the politicians in the state of California are not enforcing any laws. And I agree with you. They're not for their own political gain. Okay. And that is the liberal way, is to be very fair about the law and, they don't know any better type mentality. And they want to have like second, third, fourth chances. I'm not a second, third, fourth chance kind of person. Okay. So here's what needs to happen. The laws are too relaxed in this state when it comes to everything that we've discussed. Mm-hmm. There needs to be a political shift and a political reset in the state of California. We need to have tougher laws, as an example with homelessness. In my opinion, it is illegal to be on the street, pitching a tent and living there in the middle of the street, whether it be under a freeway overpass, a local park, or in the middle of the street. It is illegal. and you will be removed by force. I don't care if it's through law enforcement, but I would prefer the National Guard because they have more resources to do so. However, we need to allocate massive plots of land to rehabilitate these folks and the various problems they have, but we have to put them to work. It's not, hey, just come here and stay in emergency housing. You have to go to work, whether it's cleaning up freeways, cleaning up parks, cleaning up the litter in this state, doing manufacturing, doing assembly, doing whatever we tell you to do, and we will give you the treatment necessary to get your life back on track. And when you are fully rehabilitated, you will be brought back to society. Now it's a 50-50 gamble because that person could go back to old ways, but we're going to teach you, to obviously get better, and we're going to teach you to improve your life. That's what, humans should do for one another. However, because of the political gains and the money making that our politicians are doing off this, they don't care about the problem. If you really wanted to fix homelessness, you could fix the issue. They don't want to do it. Now, with regard to the law, I am a firm believer in the Constitution and the rule of law. Nobody loves the rule of law more than I do, okay? And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to enforce the law. If I have to use the police to enforce the law, I would do it. Yeah. And I know it's very un-American to say that.
You love the law so much that you would break the law to enforce the law.
Exactly. And you should put that up. We should put that on a T-shirt. So the other thing is, too, with the crime. The amount of crime that is taking place in California is out of control. Like the drug dealers, right? The drug dealers are openly dealing in the middle of the street to homeless people, to people who are on hard times, and the law is not being enforced. These drug dealers should be immediately arrested and prosecuted to the full extent of the law, the hardest punishment, and put to jail. Get them off the street. They are literally doing this in the Tenderloin district in San Francisco. They're just openly dealing and laughing about it and making thousands of dollars a day doing it. And now the National Guard with plainclothes police are now patrolling that area because they're trying to crack down. It's a little too late, but at least they're doing that. However, it should have been handled much, much earlier. Now, the other problem is with the crime. You have young folks from various parts of California who are now coordinating an organized crime. And they are robbing stores, not one, not two, but 10, 20 groups of people with masks going into malls, convenience stores, various places, and stealing loot by the tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Okay? California, with all of its budget surplus, instead of giving handouts to everybody post-COVID, COVID's over. No one needs money in their bank accounts anymore, okay? So we need to have the police and the National Guard working together to enforce the law and to ensure that these folks do not steal. And you know what? If these people are stealing and they're running and they're armed, I think the police and the National Guard have the right to shoot at them. Shoot them in the back. Teach them a lesson. Teach them, you're going to keep doing this, you're going to get shot in the back.
Yeah, that seems like a violation of the law to enforce the law to me.
I understand, but if they're armed, which a lot of them have been armed with pistols and handguns,
yeah,
and they're waving it around and pointing it at people when they're robbing them, then the police and the National Guard have a right to enforce the law and use deadly force if necessary.
Yeah, if someone's threatening someone with a gun, I understand that. But shooting someone in the back is a good way to political unrest and a societal collapse.
Look at San Francisco. You look at San Francisco. They have so many car thefts, break-ins and car thefts. It's out of control. They can't even enforce the law because there are so many lax laws. They arrest these people in California. Hold on a second. They arrest people in California for these kind of crimes. In a normal state like Texas or Florida, you're going to be fucked. You're going to be in jail for a long time. But in California, it's okay, sweetheart. You robbed somebody. You stole $50,000, but it's okay. Here's a $10,000 check, and you can go back in the street, and you can go ahead and do the same thing again. Go fuck yourself. Literally, these politicians are destroying this state. You have crime like that. Gang activity has skyrocketed. I say, you know what? Use the National Guard to suppress the gangs, dude, with force, with deadly force.
Yeah.
We have to enforce the laws. This place has become literally like Europe. What is this, a socialist place? Just We're penalizing the middle class. We're penalizing hardworking Americans, hardworking Californians, but we're honoring people who are committing crimes.
I would say in Europe, it's probably cleaner than it is in California. I don't know. I've
Highly doubtful.
never
It
been
is
there.
not
Is there
cleaner.
as much
I've been
public
there.
defecation in Europe?
You should see Rome. Rome is completely vandalized. There's graffiti everywhere. It smells over there. They have homeless people just like here. Believe me, it's not any different. They have crimes there too, petty crimes.
Yeah, why don't we just look around the world and say, okay, who had a bad homelessness problem, and then what are the steps that they took to eradicate that? You know, and I think that's like let's learn from someone else and steal their idea, and then
All
apply
the
it here.
countries who are democracies, who have very relaxed laws, especially in certain provinces or states, especially the states here like California, all those places, their crimes are skyrocketing. You look at the United States, what is the common denominator of all these cities? Philadelphia, Oakland, Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco, Chicago, Boston. What is the common denominator? Who's running these cities? What party? Say it.
It's the Democratic Party.
Yeah, the liberal left are destroying these cities for political gain and to make money off the problem instead of solving it.
Yeah, I mean, if you are keeping a perpetual, homeless population and giving them the needles and the stuff that they want and allowing them to live the life that they want to live, then you got a base of voters that are right there too. So
I urge every Californian, stop voting for the Democrat Party. Stop doing it, please. The Democrat Party for the last 3-4 decades has destroyed this once great state. Did you know in San Francisco there are hundreds of companies who are now leaving San Francisco because it's too unsafe?
Well,
they're packing up shop. It's not just in San Francisco, but throughout California because of the safety issue and also because of the economic issues and the taxes.
Well, half of the commercial office space in San Francisco is vacant right now. Between people realizing they can just work at home and companies leaving California, it's crazy. There's going to be a huge backlash on all these commercial buildings that we have. They're just empty. They're sitting empty right now, and no one wants to rent them out. So what are the building owners going to do? It's converting to residential is too expensive and difficult to do. So
I'm pleading to Californians who are here, please do not vote for your Democrat Party. Register as an independent, vote Republican or register as a Republican. We need to get back to basics with this state.
Or libertarian.
Whatever you want to do, the Democrat Party has failed Californians. They've destroyed this state. There's rising crime, gang activity is up, homelessness was a problem and is now apocalyptic. Businesses are leaving this state, taxes are too high. Either you do one of two things. Either you switch parties, become a Republican or an independent and vote red in the upcoming election, okay? And get this son of a bitch Gavin Newsom out of here. Okay, and his Democrat friends, and also get the fuck out of the state. I am prepared to leave this state because it has gotten out of control.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. That's kind of where my head's at right now. Is like I think I need to leave California at some point in time, and I'm still trying to decide where I'm going to end up going. But that's the problem. We're encouraging people to not vote Democrat, but they're the people that have stayed. All the Republicans, all the conservatives that were in the big cities that had those conservative values have left. There's been this is the first time in history that the California population has declined. It is in decline. And who's leaving? Not the liberals. The liberals are staying.
The good conservatives are leaving. They're going to states like Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, the Midwest, the Great Lakes, Montana, Colorado, and Colorado's the next California. They're those politicians there are fucking it up too. Believe me.
Yeah, the Denver Basin for sure. But so that's my point is do we stay and fight the fight? Or do we let California burn, go to greener pastures, and then in a couple decades, when they've realized their mistakes that have ruined California, then we can come back and help rebuild?
Well, I think we fight. I personally want to stay and fight the fight because I think there's a lot of good people here, and you can change this. But you have to lay the foundation for change. It's not going to be overnight. It's going to take a couple decades to fix the mess of the Democrats, but they've destroyed the state so much that it might be unfixable in some areas. Like, I don't understand this. I don't understand how me and the cowboy and millions of Californians are paying high taxes. With the taxes that we pay here, through property tax, sales tax, this, that, whatever the fuck, our city should be immaculate. Our buildings should be immaculate. Our infrastructure should be immaculate. There should not be one single homeless person in the street. Crime, there's always crime, but we should have more law enforcement. Our law enforcement officers are leaving the state because they're not paid enough to deal with this problem. Yeah. I don't blame them. I don't blame them.
Yeah, and then it's California is also not a good state for business.
It's not, because there's high taxes here.
Yeah.
Like, look, I'm not trying to be like France. I don't want 50% tax, 45% tax, but I do believe in some sort of tax, but you have to also be, what's the word I'm looking for? You have to be like common sense, business friendly. We need to give incentives for companies to come here. Tax credits, incentives for creating jobs in California, if you make products here in California, you should get tax credits and incentives, okay? So I just don't understand. What the fuck is going on? What are these politicians doing? What's in it for them? Who's telling them to do this? Why are they pocketing this money for themselves? Like, I don't understand. Like, we all love money, okay? But at a certain point, you want to, manage a state and leave it in a much better condition for the next generation, but it's not in a good situation for the next generation.
Yeah, it's just like Microsoft moved out of California, it was like a couple decades ago now. They're up in Seattle and everything like that. Oracle just recently relocated to Texas.
Tesla, look at Tesla.
Tesla's gone now too. Yeah, they're moving all their stuff to Texas as well. And it makes sense. Why would you do something here when the cost of doing the business is so high?
If I'm states like South Dakota, North Dakota, Oklahoma, West Virginia, Indiana, I would literally lower the tax rate to the point where I'm like, come on in, companies, come on in. If you're creating jobs, tax and job creation, economic growth in our state, we'll give you some tax credits and incentives. Come on in, and if you're hiring our workers, our local folks, we will roll out the red carpet for you. Leave California. Come on in. We're going to lower your tax by half. Come on in.
Yeah, especially if there's a small town in West Virginia and they get, one of these big companies to open up a factory. That's huge for that community. They're going to have a boom in economic. When you rebuild
that great state, the coaling industry got fucked.
Yeah, and it's that's another thing to talk about is California's initiative on renewables and how expensive that is making everything, because our electricity, our electric grid right now as it stands is not able to hold up to everything that we were originally doing with gas to now do with electricity. It's it's
green energy is a myth, dude. These guys don't even know what the fuck they're getting into. They're like, oh, let's just shut down all these get rid of the gasoline vehicles and all that. You can't just do that overnight. Your infrastructure doesn't even catch up with this.
Well, and the other thing is, I understand they're trying to incentivize it, but also look at the battery production stuff, like those cobalt mines in Africa, which are basically like a slave labor pit.
It's like a fourth world type thing.
It's so depressing.
Children dying in there.
And that's where our batteries come from, and so
nobody cares about that.
We're incentivizing that too. Yeah, so it's just. There's no holistic view of all of this stuff. And then the other thing is, if the correct solution would be for us to just go back to caveman days and just say, okay, let's just get rid of all these technologies and vehicles that use all this power.
You would love that.
Oh, I mean, I'd do fine.
You'd do fine. Yeah. You'd be shirtless. You'd be hunting using a spear and all that shit. You'd be loving it.
Yeah. I mean, I might, upgrade my weaponry past a spear, but I mean, then we're just back to oh yeah, we got campfires going on, and that's. But the problem is, then we don't have all of the great things that come along with industrialization that we have. Our medicines are all made that way.
Yeah,
the travel,
that's a big
deal.
The
economic boosts that come from having transportation and having our technology and our computers and everything that comes along with that. It's hard to have our cake and eat it too. It's hard to have all of this technology and economic prosperity and say that we cannot use the equipment that got us there in the first place. So, anyways, that's one thing right there.
Cowboy, your thoughts to wrap up the episode?
Yeah, my thoughts are, why don't we just go back to enforcing the laws that we have on the books as far as homelessness goes? You know, give out the tickets for littering, give out the citations for public exposure and defecation. We need to enforce those laws, give our police the resources that they need to be able to enforce the laws, and then see what happens after that. Right there, you know, make it harder to be homeless in in California in itself.
Make it illegal to be homeless in California.
Yeah, get rid of make it illegal to do public camping again. That would be a good step in my opinion. But then we also need to make business friendlier.
Make business great again in California.
Yeah.
You have to make it great because it's not great. We have hundreds of companies who are leaving every year. You have thousands of people leaving this area every year due to the situation that we discussed on today's episode.
Yeah.
So you have to incentivize folks to come back. You have to reset. California needs a political reset, a new order to run this state. We need a politician who's going to tackle this head on, and it's going to be controversial. You need solutions, and it's going to be controversial. It's not going to be easy, but it will be done. If somebody can do it the right way, it will be done, and we can solve this issue and help people in the process. But you're going to have to tackle it instead of not doing anything, because these people it's not just a societal issue. This is massive, massive implications that has, it's like I always use this analogy. It's like an octopus and it has multiple tentacles. It's affecting everybody.
Yeah.
So this needs to be fixed. And it can be done. But the question is, these politicians who are bought by the lobbyists, what is it in it for them? And why are they not fixing this issue? And where are all the tens of billions of dollars in tax revenues every year going towards this problem? Mm-hmm. That doesn't make sense to me.
It's a tricky situation. And, we're spending so much money. And I think we need to stop spending so much, too. So... anyways, with that being said,
that's all the time we have for today, folks. So enjoy, Mr. Cowboy.
That's all, folks.